Bonjour, Internet, and you superb creatures of the beyond. I have been playing in Inkscape. Oh, naughty me! I can't help myself. But what can you do? So we were discussing last time about how to do global colors, and we had the unfortunate issue of um, stumbling through those swatches. And I'm just trying to collect my thoughts right now because I went through so much material you would not believe. It's gonna be quite crazy what we're going to do today. It's gonna be advanced, but it's gonna be interesting. And I'll explain in a moment. So, again, if I select, let's say I make a few objects here, right? Like this. And if I want, for example, to select these three and I go, and I already have some swatches. So for example, I'm just gonna select this swatch. Actually, let's put it this swatch and let's make it this color. So as I said, it's kind of difficult to work with swatches because you don't have full control over everything. And it's kind of annoying to stumble around various things. But I have discovered a much, much better way to do it, which actually can even combine swatches, and I'll explain. So, um, right now we have these three elements, right? Let's put them on the normal colors of Inkscape. Actually, I just can put fill color over here. Let's, whatever, I'm gonna put something like this. And I'm going to avoid swatches altogether right now. Initially, I was looking into how to inherit a color with this unset paint, and then it says make it undefined so it can be inherited. And I was so curious, what the hell can inherit this? And the reality is that this is mostly used, perhaps it has other functionalities, but I don't know of any other ones. So for example, if I select this and I create a clone by pressing Alt D, and I just drag it, you can see that this applies this unset paint because I am having this parent and this is the child. So I can, let's say, create another child over here. I can change the shape if I want. But the point is, if I change the color, now it changes for both of them. Now, if I don't want this color to be inherited, then I can just select whatever color I want from over here, if I can. Oh, no? Oh, yeah. Uh, on cloned events, on cloned elements, it does not work. I mean, it could work, but not from over here. Anyway, so yeah, you can't. It's already inherited. Again, perhaps you can create this in other elements. I've seen some interesting tricks, but Inkscape is so finicky with some of its functionalities, and if you start coding it manually, it just freaks out on you. So yeah, we're gonna have some crashes today. Get used to it. This is what if it's not crashing, it's not Inkscape. It's not good enough. But this is why I love Inkscape. It's full of nice surprises. So let me move this to bastards. Um, what we're gonna do is we're gonna apply this color to this. But in actuality, we're gonna apply a global color to both of these elements without any of them being the parent. So let me introduce you guys to a new beautiful panel called XML editor. And I think we've played with this one before, a little bit anyway, in the past. Don't be scared by it, it's quite harmless. And once you understand how it works, it's fantastic. So this is exactly how your file is encoded when you export it. Let me see if I can. So if I should do this, yeah. Let me see, which one are we looking for? So path one, let's see, path one. Did I find it? Well, unfortunately, Inkscape creates, when the SVG is exported or saved, it also adds a lot of new elements. So let's try something else. Well, yeah, technically this is what you should see. But since this one introduces so many new things that we can't see here, because this only associates to the elements that we see on the screen. But obviously there is far more code inside here. Unfortunately, right now I'm just creating standard names. And yeah, for now let's just focus here. So what we want to do is look at the header. And this is the header of, well, I call it the header, but this is basically where we have to define a style. So we shall do this. I'm going to create a new element node and I'm going to call it style. I can type correctly. And I'm going to give it an ID. And I'm going to be calling it, I don't know, style ID1. No, didn't want to put one, whatever. Maybe call it style ID1, like so, whatever. So now we have to define a new text node in here. And we have to type it here, and I'm gonna give it a class name. Don't worry too much if you don't understand what I'm doing. I'm gonna show you a much easier way to do it afterwards, but it is very imperative that we go through these steps so you understand the structure and how these elements are manipulated. So right now, I'm just gonna call this class global color red. I'm gonna give it some attributes and I'm gonna call this fill red. Perfect. So now I'm gonna select this rectangle, which should be this one. Now we have some attributes over here. So what we need to do is add a new attribute, call it class, and we're gonna give this name global color, and I just made some mistakes in my naming convention. Color red, but nothing is happening right now. And this is because we still have a style applied here. So if I delete the style, we can, well, I'll just delete it. We see that this applied the class to this. So in the same style, I'm just gonna go over here. I'm gonna remove this style from the beginning. It's gonna go into unselected. See, it's already giving the unselected question mark. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna call this another class. And again, global color red. No, why did it not work? Hmm. Yeah, I suppose it shouldn't be on this. It should be on a flat color initially, and so we have to first add the class and then remove the style. Yeah, what can you do? I did say it's gonna be finicky, but there is an easier way to do it. Let's give this one as well. Class. Oops. Global color red. So remove this one. Perfect. Yeah, so yeah, what can you do? But these are objects right now. So let's try to apply it to a path as well. Oops, I didn't select the Bezier too. Right now it's selecting red because obviously it's red. Let's just select a different color. Let me also save because this is gonna be prone to some crashes. So again, class global color red. It's important to write it with capitals because it's case sensitive. Okay, so now we have three elements. Now if we want to change this to blue, just type blue here. See? And I don't even need to press enter or anything. Let's go magenta. Now you will be thinking, well, this is nice, but what if I want a custom color? To which I say, yes, we can. We can have a custom color. We just need to select a new thing. Let's go here. And I'm gonna select a custom color like this. You have to copy the RGB. I mean, I don't know if it does the RGBA also work. So now if I go to our thing, we have to put the symbol. No. So it doesn't work with RGBA, only RGB. So ignore the last two FF. But this is not an issue, not a very big issue, because I'm gonna show you a different way of doing it. Okay, so what is the advantage of this? Well, for example, let's say that I want to add a new class here. Gold. Just gonna type, well, let's keep the same. Fill gold. So now if I'm gonna go and copy the gold one, and sorry, and I'm gonna go, let's say, to this. Well, no, let's go to the path. I'm just gonna select this one, gold, bam. Except it didn't change. Why haven't you changed? If you see this little icon, this means that it is attached to something. In this case, to these spots. But why didn't you? Maybe I need to add. Oh, yeah. So yeah, you have to be very, very careful how you write it as well. It's, again, it's very finicky, but it works. So now if I want to apply this to this, I just go here, again, add my class. Then we have to remove the style, and ta-da, easy peasy. Well, it's not easy. I would be lying if it's easy. But the advantage is that you can control many things through these styles. And let me make sure that the style is attached. I don't know, sometimes, it does show over here, okay. Sometimes it shows over here, sometimes it shows over here. It's so weird. I don't really understand why it's doing that. But this is very, very annoying to do it like this. So what we're going to do, we're going to remove the style. So it's going to be a bit confusing because this interface is all over the place. So if you click here, you will think, I click here, it's going to go goodbye. No, it's not. Actually, I don't even know why I gave it an ID, but I do know why I gave it an ID, but whatever. But that's going to remove the ID. To remove it, to remove the entire tag, you have to click here to delete the node. Now, weirdly enough, this doesn't change this. The class is still somehow remembered somewhere in a cache memory. But, or maybe it just applies the style somewhere here, but it needs to be refreshed in here. I'm not entirely sure how this editor is displaying these things. But let's also remove, oops, let's also remove all of these things. And we're going to make something a lot easier. But that was very important for you guys to understand the structures of the XML editor and where everything goes, because if you ever need to edit something, you know where to go inside here or directly inside the text, whatever text editor you want to use afterwards. Although I do think it's a little bit easier here. So let's say we're having this shape. We're gonna give it a color. But let's also give it a stroke. So let's say I'm gonna give it 3 mm stroke, which is gonna be green. Well, let's make it a bit thicker. Let's put it 15. And maybe not green. Let's go with something like, I don't know, orange? No. Something that doesn't kill the eyes. Okay, this one. Maybe a bit more desaturated. Anyway, so we have this thing right now. Maybe I should also desaturate this red. Make it a bit more. Perfect. So now that we have this, what if I told you that there is an extension here? You go to style, you go to merge style into CSS. And I was surprised when I read, oh my god, CSS. So we're gonna name this let's say T1 underline color. But not color, let's give it element. And I'll show you why in a moment. So I'm gonna click apply, it's gonna merge it, and we won't know exactly what happened. If we look over here, we see that the class T1 element is referenced. And if we open this up, we see that it has created a new style and that the element is over here. And we have a lot of things. But we're not going to do this the hard way. Let me show you another panel called Selectors and CSS. And here we have all the elements of T1. And I'm going to explain in a moment why this is much easier to do than writing in the XML. So for example, in this element, in the T1 element, we have inherited all the attributes that this object had. So it had the field. Well, one very important thing, don't click this. Or I don't know, for me, if I click them, it crashes the Inkscape. Let me just test. Yep, there we go. Of course, it had to crash. Anyway, where were we? So, the T1 element. So, we have all of these beautiful thingies. And we have the opacity, we have the fill opacity, we have the fill, the color, which is inside here. Then we have the painted order, the stroke color, stroke dash, if we have any. Of course, there are many more attributes that can be added inside here. I don't even know them all, to be honest. But the fact that we can manipulate them like this, it's amazing. The only thing that I've noticed that's weird is the stroke width. So if we're gonna look here at the stroke width, I set it at 15 and it's in pixels. But if I go here, it's at 3.9. And I'm not sure exactly why this happens. But if you go into millimeters, you can see that it's 3.9 millimeters. I don't know why it takes that particular measurement there. Because I haven't set up my document. My document is set up in pixels. So I don't know why it's scaling it. Perhaps there is something else that's escaping me. I have no clue. But keep that in mind if you're gonna make oh, oops. Yeah, we'll get to this in a moment. Because that's something really, really cool. Oh. So let's try this. Let's put it a 4. No? Ah, 20. Yeah, it works. So I was at 4, whatever. So what can we do here? Well, we are mostly interested in the color. And in this case, it's this hex color. So if I'm gonna apply a new element over here, let's put some other shapes as well. We can see that they have their own element attributes for their CSS. But if I click on this one, the element is empty, but all the T1 elements that are inherited over here are applied to this object. So what happens if I want to apply it to these objects as well? Well, all I have to do is just click this plus and ta-da, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So that's all nice and all, but what if we want a different style? So I'm just gonna apply this style. Let's say that in this case, we're gonna give it no stroke, and for now we're just gonna leave it like that. So again, we have to create a new element style, so extension style, merge style, and I'm gonna call this T2 and element. So apply, close. So now if we look here, we have that T2 element that inherits all of these things. Now, to be honest, we don't need all of these things. But now, if I want to add these things to this circle, if I click plus, it's gonna inherit it. But there is something important to know. You see, path 6, path 7, path 7. This means that we have two styles applied to the same object. But unfortunately, the issue is that the T2 element, like for example in the first element, we have this border, but we don't have it on the second. So what gives? Why aren't they combining? Well, this is because it depends on how the elements are arranged. So the moment we have a new element over here, and I created that element using this extension. This extension basically looks at the object that I have created on the screen and copies all the attributes that are here. So the attributes are created like this. It copies all the attributes inside the style. And in this case, it has copied the stroke, and the stroke is none. Now, if I delete this attribute, it would be nice if I could disable it, so I can, but whatever. If I delete it, automatically it's gonna go to this first style and look, oh, you have, where is it? Stroke over here defined with stroke 1, with stroke 4, but here you don't have any stroke. So therefore I'm gonna inherit the stroke from the first element while combining the things, the color from the second element. So I'm gonna make it a little bit easier. Let's remove all of these things that we do not need, except the opacity for now. And I'm gonna remove things from here. Pom, pom, pom. I'm gonna leave the stroke color. Paint order, we do not care. And opacity is 1 here, but it's not gonna affect because it's the first element. So the second element is the one that comes afterwards. So it's overwriting our opacity 1 with opacity 0.5 over here. So for example, let me just go 0.1, and you will notice that this opacity doesn't do anything here. I can type 0.9. Oh, actually, it's affecting the other one. So I can just remove it in this case. Fill opacity the same. And the fill color, I'm gonna leave it here because it's still associated with these other ones. Now, we can see that we can make a lot of interesting things. So for example, if I have, now let me just put this back to 0.8, for example. Now let's say I'm going to so this one has the stroke width and the stroke. So let's say I'm creating a new shape now. Bezier. Bezier. Oh, I don't know why it's typing. Oh, that's nice as well. You can put it like this if you want. Anyway, so let's create a new shape. And let's give this one whatever color I want. I'm gonna put it on full opacity. And I can give it a stroke as well, just to enunciate how this is going to affect it. So if I'm gonna go here, now that I have it selected, I can put it directly into element 2. So if I put it into element 2 says you have to turn the opacity to 0.8 and the fill color to this color, to this lime color. Now, what happens? We still have this this border because it has its own thing, the poor element. As we can see, the element still has its own attributes, but now it complements with these settings from the T2 element. So if I want to overwrite and have this at a different, to inherit the border from here with this color, all I have to do is call the first style. So now we can see that we have applied to this the first style and the second style. But now when we look inside here, it already has removed the things that are already overlapping over here. And important to notice is the fact that when you have this line going through, this means that this one becomes the primary color, and this one becomes disabled. If I would disable this, if I could disable this without crashing the thing, then this would become the primary color. If I disable both of them, then the primary color would be the one that was originally created. But since I can't do that, anyway, I'm gonna leave it. So we can notice that we can do a lot of mixing, and I can think of a few settings where you would want this to happen. So let's say that we're gonna create a new shape like this. I'm gonna remove the border and I'm gonna create, let's say, some legs. Now, what if I want this to apply the second style, which is gonna be this line, and I'm gonna apply this only the first style, which is gonna be the red with the border. But what if I want to combine both of them and I want to have them the second style, the color, and I also want to have the border from the first style? You see how powerful this is? And then if I want to create new things, just gonna apply whatever I want. If I don't want this path to be over here, just remove it. But obviously, so it doesn't go to the original, it goes to the inheritance. Anyway, so if I want to re-edit, just do it like this or like this. If I don't want it in the second one, I just remove it like this. See, so many interesting combos, and these are just two styles. Imagine having 3 or 4 where you can focus on line dashing, for example, or things like that. Of course, I'm not saying that this is the holy grail to solving all of the issues that you can encounter in global editing, but it does have its benefits. Now, let's look forward to something even more advanced than this. So I'm going to create a shape like this, and I'm going to apply to it this swatch. And we can see that it has created all of these things. And now the fill isn't a color, it is an URL, which refers to swatch 27. If we scroll over it, it's gonna say swatch 27. This is swatch 1. So I can create, oh, by the way, I know the interface looks awful sometimes, but if you want to create a new element, a new style without inheriting anything, blah, 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 you can click here, add a new CSS selector. Snaps. I think if I click it like this, yeah, okay. So I'm gonna call this, why is it called like that? Yeah, class. So yeah, let's call this class T3 underline element. I just realized that I wrote here the T2 element. I named it incorrectly. Now, what can you do if you did a silly mistake like this? Well, this is why we go to the XML editor. We can go into the defs. We can go and identify where this is written. I have forgotten an E. Ooh, something happened here. Why did this happen, I wonder? So if I remove it, this removes, this puts it back. If I put it back, like with an E, then this happens. And this happens because if we go all the way over here, let's say select this, if we look here, the class is predefined here. So if I rename it like so, it's gonna work. And this one, yeah. As you can see, this one inherits two elements, two styles. So it's really, really cool. T1 and T2 element. There we go. We have fixed all of them. This one. So yeah, quite powerful. So what was I saying? I have created the third style over here, which is empty at the moment. So let's look into our element right here that has this URL. So it says fill URL swatch blah blah blah. So I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna type it like this, fill URL, and we need to put this swatch 1, let's say. Yeah, this is swatch 1. So let's see if this works. Now we're gonna look at our T3 element. Now that's weird. Okay, let me remove it from here. And then let's type it over here then. Oh, we can't. Okay, let's see what happens if I leave it like this. And let's create a new object. And now let's apply T3 to it. Maybe it's not like this. Perhaps it's. Well, let's try to create it. Let's see what happens. So extension, style, merge, T4 element. URL swatch. Just copy this. Oh, it was working. I just forgot that it was red. So yeah, no, it works. It works. I'm just being silly. Okay, perfect. Perfect. So this one has T4 element, but this is what happens. It adds all of these extra things. So we want to refine what we want to have in our element because we want to leave as many things into the attributes into the element itself and only add things that we would require for it to have. So in this case, I want to add this swatch. So the advantage of having that swatch over here is, shoot, how do I edit the swatch? Huh? Ah, I can do it from here. I was on the stroke view. So now if I edit the swatch, it's perfect. But the advantage is to this method that you know where the element is situated and what styles are being associated with it. Because otherwise, if you would have a swatch over here, let's say I would apply 3 elements like so and 3 elements like so. And these 3 elements have the first swatch and these 3 elements have this swatch. Perfect. Now if I go into swatches, it tells me that I have 7 elements with this swatch, with this color, and oh snaps. Yeah, that's annoying. Oh, it says 4. Yeah, I do have 4. So I have 4 elements with this swatch and 4 elements with this swatch. Now imagine that these swatches would be close. It would be just a very close color to the red one. You wouldn't really know which elements are associated with this swatch exactly. Because if they would be too close, you would have to click and you don't have much control this way. But fortunately, when you are with styles, you have the maximum control because you know exactly what you want to disable. So if I click on an element, it on a style, it already shows me where the style is attributed to. So if I don't want that style associated with an element and I just want to change it on the fly, I just remove it from over here. See, like for example, this path, which one? This path 12, and it also highlights it over here, which is really nice. I want to remove it from this one, from this T3. I'm not sure I can move their hierarchy. So let's see if I put it here now. Yeah, it takes this color because this is the last one in the list. I know, many steps to follow, many things to tweak, but extraordinarily powerful element. So, with this in mind, let's see what our Wolfie variant has done for us, because we're back to the Wolfie. So, I have created, well, this one is unfinished. So this is the version that I want to end up with, right? So if I look at the style, I see that I have 2 colors associated. I have the white fur for these elements, and then I have the brown fur for these 3 elements. Now, if I want to apply the same thing to my other Wolfie, let me just restrain all of this. Okay, now all I have to do is just select the things, and now I want them to be added into the, oh, actually there's more of them. So I want this to be added into my brown fur. Bam. Perfect. Now the white fur is already associated here because I did it before. But now I still have to add the darker shade to this. So in order to do that, we're gonna go back to come on, sit. So we're gonna go back to this. I'm gonna select this. And this already has all of the attributes here. So I'm just gonna go to extensions, style, make style. I'm just gonna call this W2 underline brown fur shade. I'm gonna apply this. Now close it. Now if I look at brown, I see that I only have the fill. That's only what I'm interested in. So I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna remove everything else. I could have also just created it from scratch, but it's much easier if I show you the steps like this. And now, if I go to the second wolf, I just have to select this, 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 and apply them into the shade. Perfect. But there is one more thing that we have to do. And that is this little claws. So the claws have a stroke and marker stroke. Where is it? And a stroke color. The fill is none, so we don't need it. So we only need the stroke and the stroke, stroke, not opacity. Where is it? Stroke width. I was I was off put by this meter limit. Anyway, so we're gonna create a new extension, style, this one, and we're gonna call this white claw. Let's apply, close. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna remove this. I'm gonna leave the stroke. I'm gonna remove this, and this, and perfect. Oh, I removed too many things. Oopsie. What did I remove? Yeah, so the line cap should be rounded. Okay, if I remove this, line joint. Okay, so the line cap should be round. Okay. So we need, oh, and stroke opacity. No, thank you. So only 3 elements in here. Perfect. So in this case, I'm just going to apply it like so. Hmm. But let's be smart about this. So we know that this one has the color, right? Actually, it doesn't help us because it's the fill color and we don't have any stroke color for this one. And this one is only a stroke. Yeah, so it does not help us. Unless I would have defined the stroke for these ones, but it's irrelevant. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave it as it is. I'm gonna select this, 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 and this, and I'm gonna put it into the white clause. There we go. So now if I go into the other Wolfie, we need to apply this clause that right now are black. I just put them here. Bam. Oh, they're on top of, damn it, yeah. Well, what can you do? Let's arrange them. Bam, and bam, bam, and bam. So, let's save. Now, the cool thing about this is that now if I want to go, for example, for the fur, they all have the fur thingy. So I just want to make it a new color, right? The fill. So in this case, let's choose a different color. Let's go and create, I don't know, what color would this wolfie look nice? A green wolfie, why not? So we copy this without the last two letters, only the RGB. I think we can just remove this. And now we just go back here. We select our white fur, which selects everything that is with white fur. And we tell it, hey, I want it like this. Bam. Perfect. So now, if I go and look at the normal wolf, it also applies it to him. Now I can see that I have missed these three things. So it's very easy. We just select them. Actually, let me recover the color. So because I really like this color for some reason. So I'm just gonna select this, and I'm going to apply it to the white fur. Yeah. And this is how powerful it is. Now, if you think, well, it's kind of annoying to take the RGBA code all the time. Well, this is the cool part. We can go into, well, first of all, I still need the RGB. Actually, the whole RGBA. And we're going to give this so I'm gonna go to the white fur, and instead of this I'm gonna call it the URL and call swatch1. Oops. Isn't it swatch1? Swatch1. What did I do? URL swatch 1. Oh, I didn't press enter. Sorry. So if I go here now to the fill, I can manipulate the entire swatch. We just give it the correct color. Yeah. So I have done the swatch one. Now there is a problem with gradients, and it sucks because if you apply a gradient via this way, if I would type the name of the gradient here, which is called linear gradient 24, let's just try this. Linear gradient, which one was it? 24. It's gonna do it, but oh, for some reason now it works. Sometimes it doesn't work. You don't get the handles to apply it, so it's kind of a mess with gradients. It works, but and this one has an alpha applied to it. But the cool thing is if I go to the gradient now, which is in swatches, how would I edit this gradient? I have no idea. I mean, I have no clue. I really don't know how to edit swatches, gradients in this swatch field. Oh my god, this is just such a mess over here. I'm not even gonna experiment anymore here. I don't want to break it. Let's go back to our initial swatch. So in order to do that, we go back to our thingy, white fur, swatch 1. Perfect. So let's say we want this to be the next swatch. So this one is gonna have this color, and I'm gonna go and look for the brown fur. So I'm gonna call this swatch 27. So URL swatch 27. Bam. I'm gonna go to swatch 27 now, and I'm gonna input my color. Perfect. Now I have a very powerful tool at my disposal to edit however I wish without messing with the swatches too much. I mean, you can do it however you wish. I would still avoid using swatches because swatches are a pain. If you click in the wrong spot, but the point is that it's so easy to control globally everything now. So if I just let me copy this color first. If I put it like this, and now if I just go to the other Wolfie, you see, super easy. So this works super fantastic if you have lots and lots of elements that you want to apply a global color to. Not necessarily very intuitive at first, but the more you play with it, the easier it becomes to work with. And the fact that you can interchange so many elements colors at once, because as I said, if you would apply if I would select, for example, all the elements like this, blah, 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 and apply a swatch, I wouldn't know afterwards which elements have the swatches that I have applied to. So it could get messy because I could edit a wrong swatch. But since I have everything so well defined over here, like for example, if I select this tail, I know this tail is gonna be highlighted over here, you see? So if I don't need it over here, I can just remove it from here and move it wherever I want. So a lot of control. And of course, if I want to change the color to another swatch or to a simple color, I can just do it from over here. The swatch is just to simplify, to remove our need to write the code manually, so we can just select from the wheel directly. But again, you would still need to click on something that has the swatch in order to edit it. What can you do? Difficult, but doable. And believe me, this will save you a ton of time if you have many elements with different shapes and sizes, but you need the same color. Another way to do it, and this one is also kind of interesting. Let's say I'm gonna have a few elements like so, which have this color, and I want to edit this color directly. I can do something interesting, which is called edit, select same, and select color. Of course, you can do by fill and stroke, stroke color, stroke style, object type, for example. But in this case, I want to select all the elements that are exactly that red color, that specific red color that I have made it. So you can see it takes only this. It doesn't take the teeth because this is a different red, different shade. So now I can just go and edit the color this way, which is indeed much faster. It doesn't matter where it is, but again, if you have certain elements, like for example, in my case, I can make the legs go into a different style if I want. And I don't really need to know exactly. Well, obviously, naming conventions also help a lot because you would know the leg is the leg. Like, for example, when I'm here and I'm going to the white fur. Oh, interesting, interesting, interesting. Uh-huh. It doesn't work like the way I thought. And I'll explain in a moment why. Well, this complicates naming conventions so much more. I started using object properties. So what does object properties do? I didn't name it. Damn it. So I did name it. I give it a label here. And yeah, this one has the front paw, but I see what's the problem is. This is inside the group. Pom, 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 pom. So the one that inherits the style is this path 783, which is 783, but does not have a label. If I would give it a label, but it's irrelevant to give it now. I know that path 783 would have, we could replace it here with the label and it would be much easier to know what color it is applied to it. But yeah, yeah, this is another drawback. What can you do? Because if I would apply the entire style over the entire group, then everything would have the same color. So that's not what we want. So yeah, you could really name everything specifically, and then it would make so much more sense here when you're reading directly here, so you don't have to just necessarily click and look. It would also help if when you click something, like for example the head, it would open these tabs where the style is applied, So I wouldn't go through each one of them to see where the highlight is happening. But yeah, well, what can you do? I know I made your head square and the brain I made it a triangular shape. But still, it's really amazing that we have learned a new trick on how to do global things. And believe it or not, this is so much more powerful than what you could do in other vectorial software. I think even Illustrator doesn't have this much depth to it. Obviously, as I said, it's quite finicky and your Inkscape is prone to crashing if you're gonna click some weird things. Like I'm gonna show you. Let me go back to the testing. Yeah, save. So here, let's say this one, not this one. This one is in here. No, it's this one, element 3. What happens if I delete it from here? It didn't delete it from here. Now if I try to delete it from here, it's gonna crash. Well, what can you do? And it created a backup. Oh, off. Oh, snap. I don't know what happened here. Was it this one? Oh, that was a previous crash. And this one is another type of crash. Ah, Jesus. Okay, this one works. I'm sure. I am sure. Perfect. So going back, now it disappeared. I don't know. It doesn't refresh in time, I suppose. Now if I go to this one, the point is you have to first remove it from here, and then you can remove it from your screen, and it won't crash. Again, making the right order of actions is kind of tricky, but yeah, this is the nature of Inkscape. We love Inkscape, especially when it crashes, especially because it creates backups and it auto saves for us. Such a darling for us. Okay, guys, stay awesome. Catch you in the next crazy experiment episode and have a wonderful day, night, eclipse or apocalypse. See ya. Bye, 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 bye.